Good evening. I'm George Sells.
And I'm Donna Britt. The top 4 candidates went head-to-head tonight in the final debate in New Orleans before Saturday's election.
I had the opportunity to ask the candidates questions and formulate a lot of the questions along with WAFB's Greg Merriweather.
Yeah, Greg is here with a final look at tonight. And Greg and George, what was the mood
Yeah, well, the one thing that struck me was that nobody seemed very nervous tonight. 4 years ago when Blanco and the crowd was coming in, everybody was tight as a drum. Not tonight, really.
Yeah, I wonder if it's, to use a tired old cliche, sort of the calm before the storm. Here's, George's, some of my thoughts from just kind of behind the scenes. Take a look. Before we had a chance to ask the candidates questions, they had, well, a few questions for us. The main one, which camera will I be on? All of the candidates seemed relaxed. Some of them chose to look at us as they answered the questions. Some chose to look at you through that all-important camera lens. WWL-TV in New Orleans, a longtime powerhouse station there, had the scene set. The candidates got to look around with their handlers, and then the sterile studio concept went into effect. All of the PR people, the spouses, anybody who came there, they had to head to the back. And once the candidates were all alone with each other, they smiled and shook hands. In the meetings leading up to the final debate, we decided that this final debate would be one to get the specifics from the candidates, try to take them off of their talking points. Now, moments before the debate, I was looking at John Georges, and he was kind of sparring privately with Bobby Jindal. And as it was starting to get somewhat uncomfortable, that's when Walter Boisseau chimed in to remind the crew that they forgot to check the candidates' microphones. By then it was too late. It was go time. All right, George, sort of at the end of the debate, for the most part, I thought that the candidates went back to doing their glad handing and, glad handing, they're back on the campaign trail. I think the best way to describe it is if you took the LSU and Kentucky players after their hard-fought game together and put them together afterwards, they'd probably be good sports, but probably would not be sitting around for a rendition of Kumbaya.
And there were some discussions later about how poor the lighting was on Bobby Jindal, for whatever that's worth. Well, while Greg and I were in New Orleans, WAFB political analysts were back here in our studio sizing up each candidate, along with our own Keitha Nelson. Keitha, was there a clear winner in your view on the other side of the tube tonight?
George, let me just tell you, there was some headbutting going on here tonight back at the studio. Some say Jindal did a good job by not harming his lead, while others believe he's getting an easy pass after not showing up to several debates. Was there a clear winner? Let's hear what they had to say. From beginning
hopefully he answers that
to end, the political analyst in our studio chuckled at some humorous answers to hard-hitting questions from reporters across the state.
I don't know that I'm going to tell you how much money I had.
What my personal worth is my own business.
Bobby Jindal surprised our analyst with his jab at opponent John Georges.
I'll have to buy John a subscription to the Times-Picayune. I can understand why he wouldn't want to read that newspaper, given what they've written about him, but if he'd read the paper, he'd actually see we've passed some bills in the House.
You don't expect him to be the guy to get in a stiff shot. It wasn't his personality, so it was pretty good.
Analyst Jim Angster sat back and watched as the front-runner kept his cool.
These candidates really needed to deliver a knockout punch to Jindal, and he was still standing at the end of the debate.
Julie Baxter, on the other hand, says let's take a look at an even bigger picture.
He hasn't been out there fighting the fight like the other three have in all the forums around the state, and I think that's an issue. I think voters need to say, is it okay to elect a governor who skips the majority of the forums?
Despite his past absence at other debates tonight, Jindal, Boisseau, Georges, and Campbell could not escape dealing with major issues head-on.
I will sell the tobacco bonds so the people in Lafourche, Terrebonne, and St. Mary Parish will have a levee built right away.
3 of these candidates are gunning for a runoff, hoping to make this race even more interesting.
Saturday is going to be fun.
Now for election night coverage, tune in to 9 News. We will have political analyst Jim Nickel with us from 6 that night until every vote is counted. You can also watch Nickel and Angster in the morning with our own Matt